My name's Stephen Britten. I'm an AW and I work and live in Norfolk.
You know, the very essence of the mental game is this. The only reason an event matters is because we make it matter.
Welcome to the Mullins Farrier podcast.
I had a soccer coach, and he always said, we are going to be the fittest team always out there. Because in the moment, you don't want to be worried about being tired. You want to be focused on the soccer game.
Right.
Which is what's going to translate for me, hopefully, in the CJF, is that I'm not worried about being tired. I can focus on the task at hand.
And granted, he was like, get your specimens made. 3 months before you take your exam, get all your AW specimens made. And it's good to have other people putting that pressure on you as well. Sometimes if it's a single journey, and you've not got mentors that are coaching you, helping you, you kind of rest a little bit.
If you're hearing this, you are currently on the non-subscriber feed. If you would like to hear this episode in its entirety, please subscribe using the link below. If you're a student, apprentice, or just find yourself in a situation where it isn't financially feasible to subscribe, please reach out to me on Facebook or through the website. The good folks at Out West Design and Fabrication are lending their support by helping us to cover your scholarship subscription. You can check out many of their incredible projects on their Facebook page. Out West Design and Fabrication, your choice for Farrier rakes. Now here's a sample of this week's episode. Thank you for listening.
Most people that I know in this industry only want the best for the other people in the industry, which is a pretty cool thing.
Welcome everyone. A little shopkeeping before we start here. In May, there's an exciting event happening in Massachusetts, hosted by Randy Heminger, and it's called Forge Over the Falls. It's a multi-day event with Michael Wildenstein, FWCF, Dr. Allison Marshall, and Dr. Betsy Lorden. You can find Mike and Betsy's episodes in our podcast archives if you'd like to hear the Farrier journeys of these incredible professionals. The first day will be a hands-on lecture addressing deviations, rotational, flexural, and angular with Mike Wildenstein. Day 2 will be with both Mike and Dr. Betsy, focusing on radiographs of the equine digit. Day 3 will feature Dr. Allison, explaining how chiropractic patterning can help support understanding lameness and limb disuse. This event qualifies for CE credits for vets and vet techs. So pass on the word to your veterinary friends and colleagues. For more details, search Forge Over the Falls on Facebook. And now for today's guest. Stephen was dutifully helping to run the front of house for Focus at Stoneleigh this year when my PR rep Jamie Hughes and I ambushed him for an interview. He accepted, and this conversation is the result. I should say that Stephen has graciously offered to host myself and another fellow Canadian, Dave DeWitt, for an AWCF prep clinic during our journey over there in a few weeks. As you will hear, he is passionate about everything horseshoeing, and a lot of people have helped him on his journey to improve. In paying this forward, he is equally passionate about helping others on their journey as well. I enjoyed our conversation and look forward to spending some time with him in the very near future. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. So, how did you get your start as a shoer?
Bit of a long-winded one. So I trained with the guy that used to shoe my nan and auntie's horses. So my nan and auntie had a riding school, and being slightly overweight and ginger, I didn't have the best time at school sometimes. So I spent a lot of time at the stables, and I used to hold the horses for the farrier like every Friday for John, my old boss. And he pretty much offered me a job right from then. I just knew I wanted to do something with horses, and that was just kind of a natural progression, really.
Wow. Okay. So how old were you when you started?
I've known John since I was probably 12, 13.
Wow.
Yeah. But he wouldn't take me on until I was 18. So I finished my school, did 2 years at college doing equine studies, and then literally when I finished that, I started on my apprenticeship, and yeah, that was that really.
Cool. Nice. And then after your apprenticeship, built up your own business?
Yeah, so I started, when I qualified, I worked for John Blake. He's had quite a few apprentices. I think I was his 11th or 12th. I think he did 15 in his career, maybe. I used to do some day work for him. I'd do 2 or 3 days a week for him. I actually did a bit of work for Ed and Will O'Shaughnessy as well in Newmarket.
Cool.
And then just slowly built up my own round. And then I think 2011, I did the cultural exchange. I went to America for 3 months and worked my way down the East Coast. I flew into DC and I went up to Vermont and then kind of worked my way down. We ended up in Florida with a load of guys down there for about 3 weeks.
Yeah. So who were some of the standouts from that?
I stayed, Josh Egging and Mike Poe, I stayed with them. Actually went back again to see them again. Dan Hausman in Florida. It was quite a while ago now, so remembering some names.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
There were some good guys. I met Austin Edens in Florida as well, and just so many people that I worked with and stayed with. Stayed with Garrett Malone, who is friends with, I can't remember now, the guy who basically invented the heart bar in America, Maury McLean.
Right.
So, and I spent some time with him and showed me his pad and stuff, and I went to the Stonewall shop and went to their New York State, stayed with Ben Mangan.
Yeah.
And I remember Seamus when he was like tiny. But
Not so much anymore.
Had a great time there. Yeah, then came back and just started plugging away at, building my round up. But I was never in a rush. So I've luckily kept some good clients because I was never like desperate for work. Because I always had backup work with John. So
Right.
I was still doing a day a week for John probably 10 years down the line. Do you know what I mean? I was just liked coming in and seeing all the lads and seeing them and working with someone else. So it kept me sharper, I feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you notice any major differences when you came to North America?
Yeah.
What were some standouts
I think
for that?
one of them was chewing not a lot of clips was one of the biggest ones.
Oh.
Cold chewing and just the type of horses, like the quarter horses, like I'd never experienced chewing anything like that. And
Right.
Yeah. But
They're a whole different game, aren't they?
Yeah. I can't remember who it was now, but someone said they're a quarter horse and 3/4 puke.
Yeah.
I can't remember who that was, but that stuck with me. But yeah, and probably some of the distance we travelled to Barnes,
Right.
whereas we used to be in 20 minutes, half an hour from the yards at home, we'd be driving an hour and a half sometimes
Yeah.
to get into places, which was surprising for me, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. So it's always fascinated me. You guys come from here where you have such a great foundation
Yeah.
of knowledge that you have to have before
Yeah.
you even start out.
Yeah.
And then you come to the US where it's been a free for all.
Yeah.
And now I guess in a way the cultural exchange sort of selects for the good ones. But did you see some pretty wackadoodle stuff while you were over
No,
as
not
well?
really. I mean,
And not from the people that you were with, but I'm wondering.
yeah,
like,
no,
in
not
the
really.
barn.
A lot of the guys I was with kind of had their round built up. We didn't have a lot of new work come in.
Right.
It wasn't anything that was completely radical or anything that I probably hadn't seen like standard wise at home. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? There was nothing that I thought, there was a few jobs there were some glue on jobs that were done that I thought probably could have nailed on.
Right.
But other than that, like all the guys I worked with were great, and most of them, we didn't really pick up a lot of new work while we were there. So I didn't get to see any sort of the real bottom of the barrel stuff. Luckily, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That probably would have been fascinating anyways, but
Yeah.
so you came back here and then what caused you to pursue your AWCF?
Yeah, I just feel that I hadn't finished my journey, really. Anyone who knows me knows the job for me is, I'm quite passionate about it. I kind of live and breathe it. I just wanted to push myself and be better, started competing a lot more and just getting myself out there and wanted to learn. And I've always been around horses and horses fascinate me. And my clients would say I prefer the horses to people.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to learn more and push myself forward and be better, basically.
Right.
I passed my associate of the worshipful company of Farriers in, I think it was 2014.
Okay.
I'd have to check. I can't remember now. But I passed my practical for my fellowship nearly 2 years ago. So I'm in the process of doing my data collection and doing my thesis for the worshipful company fellowship. Hopefully I'm going to submit it in this winter, ready for March next year.
Oh,
Hopefully.
cool. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So obviously you felt like the journey needed to continue from there.
After I finished my associate, I was like, I'm never doing anything like that again. Like
Really?
Yeah, it pained me that I passed my theory, but I failed the practical first time round. And I took about a year. I spent some time with Grand Moon and just honing my shoemaking, because that was what really let me down, was like making shoes to speed, really.
Right.
I was struggling to get the right shape to the feet, and that's sort of what let me down. So I took about a year, 18 months and just practiced that, and then went back and passed my practical. And after that, I was like, never doing it again. But after a bit of time, I felt a bit of a void. Like I had nothing to do. So I was like, I don't really know what to do. So I kind of spoke to Robert Shave and was like, I'm thinking about doing it. He said, yes, do it. He said, you need to do it. So yeah, the last couple of years, I started the ball rolling pre-COVID, and then when all that rocked in, it stopped it. But it gave me the opportunity to keep practicing. And I didn't really tell anyone I was sitting my practical. I just kept it quiet, went to a few clinics and just plugged away. And then, yeah, just went and passed it first time, luckily.
Right.
Yeah.
Good for you. And then you have 3 years to complete after that?
Yeah, 3 years to complete it. But from my point of view, actually where I struggled with the practical, my practical side is probably now stronger than my theory side. So it gave me a reason to actually sit down and do the presentations and prepare for the theory aspect, because I don't enjoy it as much as the practical now.
It's funny how that changes.
Yeah, it gave me a kick up the arse to actually get on and do the theory element, because I kept putting that bit off. So that's why I did the practical first. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I've heard some people say that they do whichever part they find the most difficult first, so that they know they'll not just push the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess that works clearly.
Yeah.
So what was your process of preparing like for if we go back to your AWCF, did you work long with anybody in the process, or was that all on your own?
I spent a lot of time, to be fair, with...
If you would like to hear this episode in its entirety, please subscribe using the link in the show notes. Thank you for listening.